Frozen?
Scott looks great. He's attentive and ready.
Hey, and it's Paul Tyler, and welcome to another episode of our Innovation Live Lunchtime Programming. Laura, welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. It's great to be back. I'm excited for our guests today. We have joining us both Kim and Scott from Force Diagnostics. So, welcome both of you to the show. And we like to kick things off and let you kind of explain who you are and what you do. So, Kim, let's start with you.
Okay, so Force Diagnostics is an underwriting data service solution, and we are providing information to primarily life insurance companies. We could also support health and DI and long-term care, but really we're the innovative future of how you deliver a complete and total underwriting package to make a decision for life insurance. We've been around for about a year and a half with this particular product offering, and really excited to be here talking to you guys today.
That's great.
Excellent. Scott, did we lose Scott?
I don't know. Scott's having challenges with the internet, as I know
Okay.
we're all
I think we
used
are.
to that. Yeah, it's a bummer.
Well, okay. Well, till he comes back on. So fortunately, he's on Zoom. He can join back if necessary. But Kim, first of all, you're one of the new companies to join us in our incubator, and just tell us, kind of what does your company do exactly, and tell us what sort of changed over the last 3 or 4 months in terms of business models.
Yeah, that's a fair question, Paul, and it might help to kind of go back to the genesis of how we sort of got this idea. We first started talking about how we could append data and or improve life insurance underwriting decision making, and came out with a suite of rapid diagnostics and some other offerings. And then we decided that really what needed to happen was we needed to be able to fulfill really any data need that an insurance company might have, either legacy data on a consumer, or to really be able to create meaningful medical data on the fly or on demand with consumers. So that's what we set out to build. We've been working for about the last year and a half, building a really impressive technology stack to achieve that goal. And then really linking up with strategic partners. So the normal data providers that you would imagine, but more importantly, bridging the gap between the life insurance industry and really the health insurance industry. So it surprises a lot of people to know, even though there's some connections there, right? We go to the doctor and we have some services done, and that sometimes that data ends up worming its way back into the insurance industry somehow, but there isn't really a direct linkage. And we felt that there was an opportunity to connect those dots, thereby providing an ability to make decisions faster. And then that obviously is a consumer driven need, right? Consumers want to be able to go online, fulfill financial services, and be able to proactively take whatever action they need to get a decision as quick as possible. COVID has just amplified that need. We're finding that consumers really, they want to have control of where they go, when they go, who they see, and playing the sort of sit back and wait for somebody to get a hold of them, particularly in a situation where we've got a national pandemic and folks are really feeling the need to take care of their families and have appropriate life insurance. They don't want to have to wait 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks to be able to get that policy. So we're hearing that while there are quite a number of very impressive underwriting engines out there, if you will, decision-making tools, automated processing, AI to some degree, although that's a much more, I'm going to call that a little bit more of a juvenile offering, compared to some of the other data sources. We're seeing more momentum with the insurance companies in adopting those automated processes. But in order for those to work, right, with the masses, you have to have enough information inside of those. I'm going to call it the mothership, right? That stores the information. And if you don't, you can't make a decision. We're hearing, and Scott and I, Scott, feel free to jump in when you like. But we're talking to a lot of insurance companies, and we're finding out that they're reporting as little as 4% of their life insurance apps are able to be issued or a decision make on an automated basis. Now, some are doing better than that. They're a little farther along. Some are able to push 40, 45%. But I think the reality is that we're still a really long ways away from having enough data and information there for the bulk of the consumers to be able to buy a life insurance policy through an automated process.
Interesting. Scott, you're back. Internet problem. We're all, it turns out we're all in the same internet provider, and it's just not a good one.
No, I effectively kicked my office shared personnel off of Fortnite, which made it so my bandwidth was a little bit better. My colleagues here at the home office.
The free interns.
Right. Yeah. So it's good back. Kim's point though about our the way that we pair or complement to the broader data empire that's basically forming. I find that a lot of the dialogue about using machine learning or AI or even just the data, the supplied data streams that exist, the conversations tend to focus on an all or nothing proposition. So in other words, underwriters are left with a decision to make based either solely on some data stream that is providing either a risk score or providing sufficient information for them to do maybe a rapid issue. But our approach, because we're leveraging the care on demand marketplace, really we're a complement to that broader data mothership, as Kim just coined. I'm going to remember mothership from now on, Kim. But if you think about it,
the mothership.
If you think about it, we are moving aggressively as not just an industry but nationwide toward having these grand data schemes that ostensibly tell us everything we think we need to know about an individual, and you keep finding that there's holes either in the way the data is structured or how it's appended. And so you never clearly have a 20/20 vision on an individual or their risk, right? So when you're using the care on demand marketplace, the beauty is everyone wants precision. Well, the way life insurance used to be underwritten is just doesn't fit anymore. And really new customers, younger customers don't want the legacy approach. They want to be able to go online, buy an app, your purchase an application for life insurance, and then have a very simplified, focused on them, customer-friendly way of capturing their health data. And not everybody needs fluids. Mm-hmm. But by golly, that data stream also indicates that there's other pieces of clinical data that can be captured in real time with a real person very rapidly that are applicable. So you could have a 30-year-old that you want to just make sure doesn't smoke or isn't morbidly obese. Well, the old, and I don't want to besmirch it, but the old paramedical model, it's not cost effective to send someone to someone's house to find out whether they're positive for cotinine or whether their hemoglobin A1C is off But you can tailor data streams to basically inform what pieces of clinical data are necessary to capture in real life or real time from that person. And it's the marriage of those two. It's not a zero-sum game of just technology and then fluid.
Right.
It literally is a marriage of the two. It's this, we talk, Kim and I talk a lot about it. Harvard Business School coined this phrase, the edge effect. Actually, someone else did, but they published it in Harvard Business Review. The edge effect is in nature is where two completely disparate ecosystems are interacting with one another, and that's where you find the greatest amount of diversity. Well, right now we're all existing in the edge effect between clinical care and data, and there's a tremendous amount of diversity and innovation that's occurring right in there. And I think LexisNexis and our partners at Milliman, I think a lot of them would say, no, all you need is this data. No, the real magic, the secret sauce is the fact that we're able to combine all of it for a precision underwriting for you, Paul, or for you, Laura, where it is exactly tailored to our need in an underwriting context to get you where you need to be for your policy.
Yeah, can I pile on to that for a second, Paul? Because I think I've got a really good way of describing this that I think it might resonate with people that sort of understand the way we do it today. So if somebody applies for a policy based on a number of inputs, age, amount, maybe some health stuff, the system spits out a list of stuff that you have to have done, right? It might be 10 things, 2 things, whatever. You do those things, you send them back to the insurance company. They take a look and they go, oh, I'm missing this piece, or I'm missing that piece. And those missing pieces generally require that you reach back out and get a medical record, you schedule another visit. We kind of flip that, right? So when we see the consumers, we start with what we call like a baseline exam, which is the stuff that we know everybody's going to need. We need to check your identity. Scott mentioned some of them, making sure you're not morbidly obese, et cetera. And then we take the inputs that are happening in real time with that consumer. And those inputs could be Milliman and Lexis data. Those inputs could be their medical record, which we have up in front of them because they're being seen within the existing healthcare system. Or it could be information that we gather immediately from that individual. So we build to an underwriting data set that's appropriate for that individual instead of circling back to plug the holes later.
It could be wearables, by the way. There's really no reason why a wearable data stream it's data. All the data bits.
All the data bits.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Paul.
No, well, it's kind of an interesting problem. I've seen a lot of elegant solutions. Everybody would like to be able to underwrite life insurance, and carriers would love to issue it. People would like to have sort of data underwriting solely based on data. The challenge is, as you're kind of alluding to, is there's just so many gaps. I've seen a lot of interesting work done on unifying electronic health records, EHRs. Is that right? Yeah, EHRs.
Yep, EHRs. Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, this provider in this particular community provide them, but this one didn't. So maybe you'll get a 10% or 10%, 20% match. Now, if I'm an underwriter in the business, and I've got a certain budget to underwrite my cases, okay, does that help me or does that not? I think the great thing is we've got a bunch of the data coming from a variety of sources, but to your point, it's pretty hard to get out of eventually having to actually take fluids from somebody somewhere. I wish we could say that you could do it. I'm not convinced we can at this point. And what's the most convenient way that doesn't compromise the sale or create a terrible experience for somebody?
What's the most effective way or efficacious way to get the data in a customer-centric, customer-empowered sort of way?
Yeah.
One of the challenges I've seen in terms of the big machine learning means writing, we kind of forget that, let's face it, if we're really on let's all pretend we're actuaries. So if we're really honest, the reason those machine learning companies were stood up and there was such a drive and need was because customers didn't want a paramed coming to their house, period. And they lost sales. When you create a method of empowering the customers so that they feel like this is something that they're doing for themselves, right? And they're able to do it same day. They don't have to wait 2 weeks and then decide they don't want to do it anymore. If you have a captive agent who's really savvy, they're just going to say, all right, sign for most insured and let's go to lunch and I'm going to take you to my favorite urgent care and we'll get this done. It's only going to be 10 minutes. It's a different approach to what was an older problem or an issue.
Yeah, one point though that I do want to make along those lines is, we believe that the express care, urgent care model is going to be the preferred, and we for a number of reasons. One is the ability to walk in without an appointment. That's really cool. The other is just the sheer number of locations. There's thousands of them, over 9,000 just in the urgent care arena and growing. Several thousand more pharmacies, et cetera. But our system is built so that we can accommodate availability for any network, right? So if a life insurance company wants to just append, they want to hold on to the mobile paramed model, but they want to append the offering to their consumer and offer urgent cares as an additional option, we can do that as well. Now, the challenges that come with mobile parameds aren't going to go away. You still have to schedule. You can't just walk in, but we can offer that as an alternative to the consumer if that's something that they like.
Yeah.
So you talked about wearables, and I have one. I use it. I like it. I use it for tracking fitness, etc. As a consumer, is it realistic for me to feel as though how can how could someone potentially utilize that information in a negative way towards me? Have you had that conversation, and what's the current reality of it? Utilizing someone's very personal information about the activity, how much they're getting up, they're running X, Y, and Z. Now you know a lot about me. Is there a reason to fear that, or is that a positive thing?
I think that probably both, Laura, if you're going to be honest about it. I mean, we have to get comfortable with sharing this data. If we want the convenience, we want, low cost, we want options, we have to be willing to share this data. Now, I think it will give everybody a comfort level to know that none of the insurance companies are taking data from a wearable at face value and just, making a decision, based on that information. I think everybody realizes that with wearables, it's not a one size fits all. The data outputs are different. You could take it off, you could take it on, your kids could grab it, so everybody knows that there's a possibility for the data to be flawed. So what we're seeing is that the insurance companies are taking that input as a potential flag, right, to then generate another test. So a really good example would be, Laura, you apply for a life insurance policy, you have a wearable. As a part of your application process, you authorize us to grab that data. When you show up in our clinic environment, we know what your running blood pressure has been, let's say. And if there's spikes, our system, through our precision underwriting, might flag that data point and go, you know what, we've seen some elevated blood pressure. So Laura, we're going to go ahead and do an EKG on you today, right? It's a way for us to trigger another service and get it all done for you at one time to either validate or invalidate whatever data point we're looking at.
Yeah, and I think to add on to that, I think on balance, it's I mean, look at other examples of the insurance industry, all to adjust the cost.
Okay, so I know we lost Scott big time, but I think I know what he was talking about. What? Yeah, Scott, we're getting like every fourth word. So what we are getting a lot of inquiries about, not really anybody like jumping on this quite yet, but I think we're all used to having some sort of trackable in our car, right? If you've got insurance with any of the big P&C companies, they'll send you a little chip, and if you're following the speed limit and driving well, you get a discount on your premium. People are starting to concept that idea. Like if you live a healthy life,
I need everyone.
Yeah, you take your appropriate steps. You know, your blood pressure and your pulse seems to be, controlled. Those are all things that could be used to perhaps reward the consumer with a premium discount or something else, right? Another really interesting component that we've had inquiries for is how do we offer a value add to the life insurance applicant beyond just a one and done exam, right? So once they're plugged in to Force Diagnostics, and I shouldn't even say plugged in because they don't need to download an app or anything like that. We just send them a link, they click it, and they come in. But once we've got them in our system, there's nothing stopping us from offering some sort of a wellness component. Maybe they can pop into our clinics and have their blood pressure checked whenever they want. Maybe they can come in and have an annual wellness exam. And, there's things that we can offer the consumer beyond just a transactional buy some life insurance.
No, I think it's
changed location, by the way, guys. So my connection should be a little bit better.
Okay. I finished your thought for you, Scott.
No,
Sorry.
I heard it was great. You did great.
Okay. Well, just to bring it sort of into the present point. Tell us, what are the challenges and opportunities of being a startup in a crazy period like this? Harder, easier to raise money. Harder, easier to get potential carrier contracts.
I can probably cover the investor side. I think. At first, there was a lot of resistance. Can you guys hear me this time?
Yeah,
Yes.
You're doing great.
There was a tremendous amount of resistance from the venture capital community. Resistance in the form of, yeah, let's talk, but we're not making any decisions. And in fact, we may not do anything until the new year. It became increasingly clear that there's plenty of dry powder, as they in investor parlance, that there's a lot of dry powder out there, and there's a lot of opportunity for investment. I would say, actually, because of COVID, we've gotten more attention in the insurtech investor space than we were before. So we're actually making headway on a present raise. I mean, we're in the middle of a raise right now. That said, I can say everything's going positively, but until a check is cut, right, and until a deal is structured, it's hard to know. But I would say that overall attention on the part of investors has been a little bit higher than it was before because of COVID and because of the market conditions as they are.
Yeah. On the customer front, kind of a similar story. There definitely more insurance companies that are adopting, data and automated solutions, some of them farther along than others. We have some that are just now moving data into a cloud so they can do something with it. And then we have others that are, pushing large amounts of volume through some of these automated underwriting engines, and really kind of everything in between. I would say our biggest challenge, honestly, is with this data comes a much higher level of security. So due diligence, getting through the MSA process, much more complicated experience. 10 years ago you could get through a detailed MSA in 2 or 3 months if you were focused. I think you're probably looking more like 6 to 9 at this point. And then I would say the other component is their ability to really capitalize on any new solution that requires any kind of technology integration. There's a ton of shiny objects out there, and the IT departments are somewhat limited. And because a lot of them are focused on data management. They haven't quite gotten to the point where they're ready, to start plugging in some widgets. That said, I will say that we've got very, very strong interest, particularly from carriers that are, pretty sizable in volume coast to coast. I mean, they are looking for solutions that they can apply nationwide. Right
No,
now.
that's great. I'm not surprised at all on either fronts, investors and carriers. We're almost at the time 12:30. Laura, what other questions do you have or people have?
Sure. I saw Mary Crean had sent in, she says hello to both of you. And she sent in a question asking how you differentiate from, others potentially like you or the services you provide in the market.
Yeah, let me take that one. I've got a long list of differentiators. I would say the biggest ones are consumer driven, right? When that app drops to us within nanoseconds, the consumer has the link and can schedule. So if they're sitting in front of their agent, the agent's, typing away their app before they leave the office, they can have an appointment and walk in and get it done. That's probably the biggest differentiator. And then this notion of precision underwriting is huge. We're eliminating a whole lot of touch points here. And so we're taking the end-to-end process from what can be as long as, 30, 45 days and shrinking that down to, 1 to 3 days. And time service is huge. Everybody knows what the cost of a day is. So those are our two biggest differentiators.
Yeah, well, listen, thank you, and thanks for time. We can't wait to have you actually physically spend time here in Hartford.
You mean actually be there finally?
Yeah, finally.
But eventually it'll happen. Hartford's starting to open up. We've reopened our offices, so people are starting to come back. So eventually we'll be back to normal. But let me ask you, if carriers or anyone's on the line and wants to learn more about your company. Clearly, I could Google Force Diagnostics. Is there a better way to reach out to each of you? And
sure, you can definitely reach out to me directly if you like. It's kim.anderson@forcediagnostics.com. I also have my contact information on LinkedIn, and feel free to DM me or call me there, and I'll get back to you.
Excellent. Well, Scott, thank you. And listen, we wish you all the luck, and hopefully. You can say we had some helping hand in your fundraise and maybe help you get another customer this year.
Yeah, that'd be fabulous.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, and Laura, what else? What else is coming up for us?
Sure. So Thursday of this week, we are going to welcome on Owit Global and Scentwood Consulting to just carry on the conversation there and see what they've been up to and what's going on in Hartford. So
yeah,
looking forward to that.
Excellent. All right. Hey, thanks so much. Can't wait to see you soon.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. It's good to talk to you again. All right. Take care.